Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any of my folks from Louisiana still here? I think I saw, oh yeah, thank you. If Sullivan was still here, I'd tell him every Sunday I teach Sunday school. I actually teach first graders, so it's more riot control. But one of the fellows goes up to Alaska regularly, and we always look at the weather in Nome and Anchorage and compare it to Louisiana. I can tell you folks in Alaska, come down to Mardi Gras this time of year, you know, and I think you'll be less likely to die from cold exposure. I'm a doctor, and so as we've spoken of suicide and mental health, matters a heck of a lot to me. But I'm going to take it from a little bit of a different approach. Chairman Bozzella, you said something earlier. You spoke of that sense of purpose that some folks leave. Now, the literature shows that the greatest risk for suicide is within the first year or so after separation from the service. And one thing that's great to see is some young folks in your audience, because obviously you need that connection with those who are just leaving the service. But I remember seeing a video of one man who had attempted to commit suicide, and his wife found him, and he was hanging himself, and she picks him up and somehow gets him off. Incredibly moving. And they were interviewing him afterwards. He said, I didn't quite know what I was doing. All I know is that a year ago I was a Marine, and now I was fill in the blank. There was not that sense of purpose. Now, then go to another conversation I had this past week with a major employer in my hometown of Baton Rouge, and I think they tell me that they are the leading employer of veterans. They do construction work, pipelines, and civil engineering, and they find it's team, it's a goal, it's responsibility, it's a mission, it's authority, and so everything that gives that sense of purpose. Now, why do I go into this? One, it's important, but secondly, the way they've achieved this is they hired someone who was experienced with the bureaucracy that knows how to get a veteran a service person about to be released and put them through the training program they may need in order to have the skill set in order to then join their company. And I thought to myself, I'm so glad you're doing it, performance contracting, but why do you have to hire somebody specifically to make it happen? What can we do to streamline it so that that veteran who is, the person who's about to be a veteran doesn't need someone to guide them through any more than, as you check out, this is what you can do. Do you follow what I'm saying there? Any comments on that?
Commander? Okay with you. Thank you, Commander, and thank you, Senator Cassidy. With the sense of purpose also comes a sense of belonging. There were two issues there, and they go hand in hand. And that Marine, a year later, is wondering, who am I, what am I doing? One of the ways to gain that sense of purpose is to continue to serve. And people who've joined our military, they serve. And when you get involved in the Veteran Service Organization, the American Legion, believe me, we'll put you to work. You will find a way to serve. That's one way. That's a streamline, one of the ways that I see it. I'm a combat veteran to Vietnam. When I came home, I went through that. I know what it is to live it, and it took a while to find myself through that. And one of the greatest ways I found myself was through being able to serve other veterans. That became my sense of purpose, even though I was employed in a different field. And I was able to develop that. And I see that with a lot of younger veterans when we're able to talk to them. So how do we connect them to those kind of employment opportunities? I believe that probably would be something that our employment people at this table could answer that better.
Yeah.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask Chairman Triola to respond to that.
So, Senator, we spend quite a bit of time with our small business task force in terms of engaging and certainly credentialing as well. We meet with and work with the Department of Defense. Really, we just had a meeting with Sergeant Major of the Army, Daly, who's doing a wonderful job in transitioning and finding credentialing programs. We want to be able to make sure, and really in partnership with small businesses and our credentialing roundtables, that we find the best practical ways to transition so that when these service members leave, they have a certificate and really a means to be able to find that purpose that you're mentioning.
Well, thank you for that. One bill I sponsored and passed when I was in the House was to allow those folks trained as EMTs in the military to get credentialed whichever state they went to with minimal hassle, figuring this great training they've had would help address a shortage that we have in our person power, if you will. So if you have those paradigms, Director Schuman or Commander, please share them with me. Again, I thank you for all you do. Our country would not be what it is without you. Appreciate it. I yield back. Thank you.